Another month, another grim milestone. As the war in Ukraine grinds into yet another year, January 2026 has quietly become a turning point in the air war, one that doesn't rely on dramatic missile launches or hypersonic headlines. Instead, it's about volume, persistence, and pressure. According to Ukrainian military statistics and multiple defense monitoring outlets, Russia dropped 5,717 aerial bombs on Ukraine in January alone. That number isn't just high, it's unprecedented, averaging 184 bombs per day. This campaign marks the most intensive use of aerial bombs since the start of the conflict. What makes this development even more alarming is not just the quantity, but the weapon of choice behind it. This is the story of how Russia turned glide bombs into a strategic instrument of attrition. Let's get into the details. January 2026 didn't arrive with a single massive strike or a symbolic escalation. Instead, it unfolded as a steady, relentless rhythm of explosions across the front. Ukrainian data indicates that Russian tactical aviation used 5,717 glide bombs over the course of the month, setting an absolute record. To put that into perspective, this means Russian aircraft were releasing bombs at a rate that rivals some of the most intense air campaigns of modern warfare, but without crossing Ukrainian air defense envelopes. This surge wasn't random. Russian forces focused heavily on frontline regions, logistics hubs, assembly areas, and defensive belts. The aim was not immediate breakthroughs, but exhaustion, forcing Ukrainian units to constantly relocate, disperse, and rebuild under pressure. What's notable is how normalized this level of bombing has become. Unlike missile strikes, glide bomb attacks rarely trigger international alarm bells. There's no dramatic footage of launches, no air raid sirens echoing across capitals. Yet on the ground, the impact is cumulative and brutal. Russia has effectively transformed aerial bombing into a daily operational routine. To understand this campaign, you have to understand the glide bomb itself. At its core, Russia's glide bomb strategy is brutally simple. Old Soviet-era fab bombs, some weighing 250, 500, or even 1,500 kilograms, are fitted with unified gliding and correction modules known as UMPK kits. These kits add fold-out wings and satellite guidance, turning a dumb bomb into a precision standoff weapon. Once released from altitude, the bomb can glide 40 to 70 kilometers, allowing Russian aircraft to strike targets while staying well outside most Ukrainian air defense zones. The destructive power, however, remains unchanged. A Fab 500 glide bomb carries roughly 300 kilograms of explosives, capable of flattening buildings, collapsing bunkers, and wiping out fortified positions in seconds. Unlike missiles, glide bombs don't aim for pinpoint precision. They aim for obliteration. Equally important is cost. Glide bombs are far cheaper than cruise missiles, faster to produce, and easier to integrate into existing aircraft fleets. This allows Russia to sustain high-tempo bombing without burning through its strategic missile reserves. In a war increasingly defined by production capacity and endurance, glide bombs are the ultimate attritional tool. One of the most unsettling aspects of glide bomb warfare is its suddenness. On the evening of December 16th, just weeks before the January record was set, an amateur cameraman captured an unusual scene from across a river. In the distance, a massive explosion lit up the horizon, silent, brief, and overwhelming. It wasn't a missile. There was no visible trail, no launch warning. The blast was caused by a Russian glide bomb striking the Odessa region. This incident highlighted a growing problem for Ukrainian defenses. Glide bombs offer very little reaction time. Once released, they are difficult to intercept, especially when launched from outside radar coverage or masked by terrain. For civilians and frontline units alike, the psychological effect is severe. There's no buildup, no escalation, just impact. This is why glide bombs have become such an effective terror and suppression weapon. They don't just destroy positions, they erode predictability. Among thousands of strikes in January, one operation stands out for its clarity and intent. On January 6th, during reconnaissance operations, Russian forces detected an assembly area of the 15th Operational Assignment Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine. The unit was positioned in a forest belt near Rodinskoye in the Donetsk region. Instead of artillery or drones, the response came from the air. Russian aerospace forces launched a strike using 4 Fab 500 glide bombs, each equipped with UMPK guidance kits. The bombs were released from a safe distance and guided toward the target zone. The result was devastating. Forest cover offered no protection. The blast radius of multiple Fab 500s overlapped, turning the assembly area into a scorched zone within seconds. This strike encapsulated Russia's evolving doctrine: identify concentrations, strike from standoff range, withdraw before retaliation is possible. No dogfight, no air defense duel, just physics and explosives. The January bombing record exposes a structural challenge for Ukraine. Air defense systems are optimized to intercept missiles, drones, and aircraft, not slow-falling, heavily armored glide bombs released from afar. Shooting down the delivery aircraft is often impossible, and intercepting the bomb itself is technologically demanding and resource-intensive. As a result, Ukrainian forces are forced to adapt on the ground. Units disperse more frequently, limit assembly sizes, and rely on constant movement. But this comes at a cost. Coordination becomes harder, logistics slow down, and fatigue sets in. The sheer number of glide bombs used in January suggests that Russia is no longer experimenting. This is now a mature, scaled tactic, and as long as Russia maintains air superiority near the front and steady production of UMPK kits, the pressure is unlikely to ease. What January 2026 ultimately revealed is a shift in priorities. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.